is 5:30, and we will call our meeting to order with a roll call, please.
Commissioner Patton.
Here.
Commissioner Barwick.
Here.
Commissioner Webb.
Here.
Commissioner Stecklin.
Here.
Mayor Absher.
Here. If you would all stand with me in the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, that brings us to item 3 on the agenda. This is the opportunity for visitors or the public to comment to the council on subject matter you wish to share. This is regulated by 2 ordinances, namely 3128 and amended by 3134. I think that ordinance is up here by the flower arrangement on this countertop right here by the coat rack. So would there be anybody that would like to speak to the council tonight? Okay.
I don't know about the ordinances, is it just on the ordinances?
I'm sorry?
Okay.
No. I tell you what, if you don't want to read them, if you mess up, I'll tell you. How about that?
Oh, I don't even know the ordinances, I come to ask about something else.
Okay, would you mind going to the
Sure.
microphone there so we can all hear you? What's your name, sir?
Aaron White,
Okay.
AARON. I come to ask about roads. We're driving up and down roads around Fowler's that you got a crater in. It jars you all over the place.
Around Fowler's.
Fowler Heating and Air.
Okay.
There's, from where a water main broke, it's, if you're in more than a Cadillac, it'll almost throw you from one side of the car to the other, especially if you're in 3/4 ton. Market Street, come across Market Street there, South Market and Boynton Street. It rattles you to death. Pocket Street, I know isn't a big running road, takes you from Old Creel around the back way to Smalls College Street. The box culvert there, it's sinking on both sides of the box culvert. If you're in any kind of car, you'll almost swallow your tires going across it because you bounce off of it so hard if you're not doing 2 miles an hour across it. Let me refer to my note.
Okay, before you go too far, I know you said Fowler's on South Court. What was the, hey, Terrence, can you kick that air off, please? Until we just start spreading. What was the second one, please?
4th Street by Fowler's, Heating and
Yep,
Air.
got that one.
Let's see here.
Market,
South
did you
Market,
say
South Market Street and Boynton Street. When you come down there where it always floods, in between the concrete and the asphalt and all that, it jars your brain through there. I mean, I can name off a list of roads. You come down Main Street here, you gotta play dodge the manhole because they didn't bring the manhole up to the road when they redone the road. Again, I'm doing it in a 3/4 ton pickup truck, and I gotta maintenance my truck, and when I gotta replace shocks because the roads ain't up to par. Our commercial trucks have to be road safety for roads that really ain't good enough for our trucks. So, you drive around town, and I know you guys got a grant to do sidewalks, but we're doing sidewalks all over Marion, but we're not addressing roads that are destroying cars.
Well, I know our resurfacing, I don't have an answer on all 3 of these, and Jim, you may have a more complete answer. I know our resurfacing project is I guess gonna start for too long now that asphalt's available. I'm not sure if South Court, if that's IDOT or that's us.
Well, it being a water main break, and this is just from my history, I've been in the construction business for 20 years. If we tear up a road, we fix a road. We put it back as good or better than what it was. The water main broke through there, so there turns, Marion should be reliable for fixing the road, right or wrong. I mean,
But the water main break wasn't on 37, wasn't it? It was on the side street?
I thought it teed right there at 37 and whatever road that is.
The break was just south of there.
Yeah, I know we've done a repair on that in a few years past, but it just probably needs some attention again, so.
Yeah, I mean, it's terrible. And if you drive a semi or that pickup truck right sitting right outside the window, it's rough. I alter my route to work every day because the roads are terrible. And I mean, with us in the construction world, as trucking companies and whatnot, it's terrible. We would like to I mean, we pay taxes to have roads fixed, state and city and county and all the above. We'd like to see roads fixed. And all we're seeing is sidewalks being put in that people don't even walk down. They still walk down the middle of the road. I know that doesn't matter, not that doesn't matter, but people walking down the side of the road isn't a city problem. But you got brand new sidewalks and people are still walking down the middle of the road. I'd rather see the road fixed than the sidewalk going.
Okay.
So, that's all I got to really air. Thank
Okay.
you.
Anyone else? Yes, ma'am. Please.
I'm really nervous.
Oh, don't be. What's your name now?
Charlotte Benning. I'm here to talk about a skunk problem in my neighborhood. I first saw it on April the 23rd, and I've seen it every day since. Its den is underneath a built-on screened-in porch in my back door neighbor's yard. Her yard is fenced, my yard is fenced, but the skunk still gets out every night. She is not interested in doing anything about it. I called a commercial pest control company, and their fee is $475. None of us can afford that. A week ago tonight, my dog got sprayed. The skunk got into my fence in my yard and sprayed my dog. I've spent the whole last week trying to get the smell out of my house and my dog, and it's not been fun. My east side neighbor's dog has also been sprayed. And of course she had to go through the same thing I've had to go through with the bath and the washing everything that it's touched. And it just takes forever to get that smell out of the house. There's 7 neighbors directly involved that I have seen the skunk in their yard. And I'm sure there's more than that, but that's just the ones that I can see, you know, from where I live.
Do you know it to be the same skunk?
I'm sorry.
I'm over here. Do
Oh.
you know it to be the same skunk?
Oh, yeah, I see it come out of its den
Okay.
and go back in.
What's your address?
1403 Claudia Lane. I suspect, and I don't know this for a fact, but it's probably having babies. And when that happens, we're gonna have a big problem. My east side neighbor, she walks at around 5:30 in the morning, and she has seen 2 of them together. I've not seen that, I've only seen the one. But, you know, I have no reason to doubt that she saw 2 of them together at early in the morning hours. Usually it comes out around between 8 and 8:30. And I can't let my dog out, even though my yard's fenced. You know, I've got a huge flashlight, you know, that I have to search the whole perimeter before I can even let him out, because I do not wanna go through that again. And is there anything that the city can do, the pest control people? I've called and left messages with them.
Have you talked to animal control?
I have not talked to them because they don't answer the phone, so you have to leave your name and number and a message, which I do. And by the time I know that they've called me back, their office is closed. So we've not been able to connect, but I have called them numerous times.
I'll contact them, that's my department, but I'll contact them tomorrow morning and have them come out to your house and talk to you.
Wonderful, wonderful. Can they remove it?
They can try.
No,
Drama.
we can't, actually. Not right now.
Uh-oh, something I don't know about?
So we have an issue, hang on a second. We have an issue, a licensing issue with trapping them and, well, actually relocating them, I think that the issue is. The way that the statute reads right now is you can't move them up more than 150 feet. Do you have anybody 150 feet from you you really don't like? That's the first question.
I can't say I really
Well, I want you to think about it.
like them.
You
I
know,
like most all of my neighbors except the lady with the skunk.
you know,
Won't do
so
anything about it.
there's a process we're gonna have to figure out and go through.
They are registered for a class
Okay,
that has yet to happen.
okay, so we have to take a class, which is why I know, and we're recommending that you call somebody like Easton's Wildlife. Is that who you call by
Yes.
any chance, with Easton's? Yeah, I know that it's not cheap, they are very good. They caught a squirrel for me at my house, so.
When is this class scheduled?
I'll have to look at it tomorrow when I get back into the office. I don't remember right now.
This is the first I've heard about this, so maybe in the future, make sure I know.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a new development, so. But anyway, we are aware that we've got a lot of skunks around. It's not just skunks, by the way.
Oh, yeah,
There's other
I know there's a
issues.
lot of unwanted pests in the neighborhood, but this one actually causes damage.
Okay.
I've had groundhogs, you know, I don't care about that.
Do we need any taser practice by any chance? How would that work?
That would probably just cause them to spray whoever shoots.
Yeah, we would spray you, not her.
No,
No? That's not gonna work?
no thanks.
Okay. First step, let's see if we can get animal control to come to your house, like Commissioner Barwick said, and talk to you and assess this. And then we have to keep working on our ability to navigate this with animal control.
All right, I'd appreciate it. I
Okay.
think animal control tracked one over at the same house last year.
Yeah.
I saw people in the backyard, they had uniforms on, I didn't, couldn't see them well enough to know who they were, but I think they were. But it was back the next morning. So it didn't really help a lot.
Smart little skunk, isn't he?
Uh-huh.
Easy to
Very
track.
determined.
Put some cat
So,
traps.
so is it just skunks that we're having trouble relocating, or is it just animals, period? Oh my gosh, I don't even want to know.
Yeah. Yeah, we have to get a specialized license, and then we have to find a new domicile for them once we are licensed, I think. No? Or we
And
have to
did you
get,
say 150 feet? I'm sorry, is that all you can take them?
you've thought of somebody now, haven't you?
Now that I think about it.
So I think that's not a practical issue, it's just technically that's all we can relocate them.
That's what state law says.
That's the state law with, I think it's IDNR, right? So, but yes, 150 feet is as far as we.
And you don't euthanize?
We might be getting licensed for sudden lead poisoning. I don't know. That may be the licensing. There's not,
Believe me, I won't tell anybody.
there's not a practical, I think we just did. There's not a practical location. Nobody else wants skunks either, so it's
Well,
not
no.
like, you know.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I understand that.
That's our issue, so that's our licensing issue we have to figure out, which is not a pleasant task for the people that have to learn to do that. But, we're working on it, and I'm sorry for your problem, I really am. Have you tried tomato juice on the dog? That's what I've had to use.
no, I actually have a product, a skunk eliminator, odor eliminator product that my neighbor gave me when her dog got sprayed. She went and bought it. And, I've given him several baths, but it seems to be working. That and Dawn dish water, liquid.
Okay.
It's not fun.
No, it's not, I've been there, certainly not.
Well, I appreciate anything you can do.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, hearing none, we'll move on to the consent agenda, which consists of items A, B, and C. Is there anyone on the council that wants to vote on items A, B, or C separately from the consent agenda? Anybody attending the meeting tonight in the audience that would rather us vote on any item A, B, or C separately? Okay, hearing no objections, I would entertain a motion to pass the consent agenda as presented, items A through C.
Make a motion to accept the consent agenda A through C as presented.
Second.
Okay, any discussion on any of these items? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Patton,
Yay.
Commissioner Barwick,
Yay.
Commissioner Webb,
Yay.
Commissioner Stecklin,
Yay.
Mayor Absher.
Yay. Move on to new business, item 5. I'll let Commissioner Stecklin talk about this, but Brent Kane, who is not here tonight, but talked about this quite a bit in the last meeting, had to do with our water rates and debt and all that, and restructuring that in large part to make room for the debt service on this general obligation bond that we're asked to consider tonight. So do you have more information or anything you want to talk about on that?
No, this is just, like I said, this is just the general bonds that we will issue to cover the costs of multiple projects, South Market Street, the new water tower on the east side of town, some renovation projects we've got in the works. So it's just it's all planned and budgeted, so it's just an issuance of the bonds that we need to do every year. We've retired some other ones, so these are kind of taking the size of the new ones.
Okay, so we don't have quotes yet, gentlemen, on interest rates, that's still being worked on, and we'll have to talk about that when we decide to sell the bonds. But this just has to do with the issuance of the GO bonds, so. If you don't mind, you can go ahead and read that.
Make a motion to approve ordinance 3806, ordinance providing the issuance of general obligation bonds, series 2022, to an aggregate principal amount not to exceed $1.7 million.
Second.
Okay, any questions or discussion on this? Steve is over in the office if we need to pull him in here for any reason. Okay, no questions? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Patton,
Yay.
Commissioner Barwick,
Yay.
Commissioner Webb,
Yay.
Commissioner Stecklin,
Yay.
Mayor Absher.
Yay. Also under new business, item 6, Commissioner Barber.
I would make a motion that we would approve the request of myself and Chief Fitz to the police department to purchase 5 fully 2022 police Ford Explorer Interceptor vehicles. The price is $225,000 and the vehicles will come fully equipped. All 5 vehicles come from Morrill Brothers Ford, and this is a budgeted item. We're gonna have to order these vehicles, and it's gonna take some time to get them. The chief got more information.
Yes.
I do have 3 estimates here. Morrill Brothers Ford, they were the cheapest. They are on the state bid. And when I checked with him, they said it would be 120, 180 days before they got here. So we're wanting to get that request in now. These will be to replace, we have 5 or 6 vehicles that are going to exceed 100, 110, 120,000 miles. And we have one in the fleet now that's over 130. So don't want these cars breaking down on us in the middle of something emergent.
How old are those?
7, 8, 9 years old.
So none of these are interceptors, these are more squad cars.
Yes, sir.
It's been a while since I'm not even sure we have disposed of the new style squad car. What is the outlet for us selling those when we retire?
Well, we haven't had to do that yet because they're all still being used and in the fleet. The new Explorers, once we start cycling them out, they will become utility vehicles. And we do occasionally get requests from smaller departments that maybe have trouble financing, that we could work out deals with them to where they could use these vehicles.
Where's Morrill Brothers located, what town?
It's in Greenfield, Greenfield, which I think is Bond County, maybe. No, Greenfield.
Where'd you get the other 2 bids from?
Vogler and, Hayes.
Did either of them have any in stock that would be able to get them quick, just price aside for the moment, and be able to get them quicker?
Hayes had one.
Just one? Okay. Vogler did not have any.
Not at the moment, no.
Okay. Just had a motion, right? Do we have a second?
I'll say.
Any questions? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Patton,
Yay.
Commissioner Barwick,
Yay.
Commissioner Webb,
Yay.
Commissioner Stecklin,
Yay.
Mayor Absher.
Yay. Commissioner Barwick, 6B.
Yes, 6B, I would like to make a motion that we would approve the recommendation of myself and Chief Fitz to purchase a laser tech total station at a cost of $8,251 for the purpose of crash reconstruction investigation. And again, this is a budgeted item. And the chief, I think, has some more information on.
Not a whole lot of, this can be used for more than just crash reconstruction. It can also be used for crime scene investigation. So I'm not up to date on this like the guys that go to crash reconstruction school, but it's quite involved. It's computer programs and equipment to do that.
So we don't have this now at all? It's not
We do,
related-
but
we do?
it's outdated and it is malfunctioning.
Okay.
So is it a total station like a surveyor's total station?
Similar.
Oh,
Do you know if it requires software updates or any kind of annual maintenance on it?
Not that I'm aware of.
We need a second on this motion, actually, before we were asking too many questions.
I would second that.
So how many guys on the squad, do this type of work for us?
We have 3 employees right now that are crash reconstruction certified.
Okay.
However, one of them is the assistant chief, so that would be an absolute last resort.
See that bad at it?
He's actually very good at it, I just need him elsewhere.
Understood. Any other questions? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Patton,
yay.
Commissioner Barwick,
Yay.
Commissioner Webb,
Yay.
Commissioner Stecklin,
Yay.
Mayor Absher.
Yeah. Item 7A, is a property that had been pending in Midway Court area, namely 1217 Midway Court, pin 0624 328 0610. And that's my motion to approve the purchase of that property for $35,000.
I'll second that.
Roll call, please.
Commissioner Patton,
Yay.
Commissioner Barwick,
Yay.
Commissioner Webb,
Yay.
Commissioner Stecklin,
Yay.
Mayor Absher.
Yay. Item 7B is, let me explain what this is just a little bit. So when ReaderLink leased the vast majority of the square footage available at the old Circuit City building, they applied for, through the Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity, a grant that was from the community, there's so many acronyms in here, CDBG, Community Development Block Grant Assistance Program, to help them bring in equipment based, I think a big automated sorter, if I remember right specifically. So the state of Illinois granted them $1 million in assistance to do that. That ultimately flows through the city of Marion and passed on to them. We used Greater Egypt Regional Planning Development Commission to write that grant and, more importantly, administer the follow-up with that. Their fee, I think, is typically 3% or so. In this case, that is the case, of $30,000 of the million. That comes out of the grant proceeds, not out of the city coffers. So that we need to approve this agreement for grant consultation with Greater Egypt that's in your packet. And I just wanted to kind of walk you through that so that you understood this is actually not an expenditure of city funds, but just part of that grant process. And that's my motion to approve the agreement for grant consultation and other professional services with Greater Egypt Regional Planning Development Commission regarding CDBG Award 20-241001.
Second that.
guys any questions on this? This is something we've been working on for a long time, and Glenn Clarida will tell you he hopes he never sees another one of these grant applications again, so. It's been an awful lot of.
So the commission in this case is Greater Egypt Regional Planning and Development, right?
That's correct.
The only problem I have it is in section B on page 2 that says the city shall compensate the commission.
Well, technically, it's a good point, Doug. Technically, what will happen is we'll receive the $1 million and then pass that on to
So
them.
we're the pass-through.
We're the pass-through.
I got it.
All CDBG grants, including the block grants like that they do for the home renovations and such.
Okay.
Technically, that's always grant to the city of Marion,
Okay.
and then we are sub-granting it, if you will,
Yeah.
to them. It's just the way this state agency works.
So that's.
So we'll get the money, we'll withhold the 30, pay Greater Egypt, and then pass the rest, the remainder on to the grantee, ultimate grantee, in this case, Greater Egypt.
Sounds good, thank you.
Any other questions? Just a second.
Yes.
Okay, roll call, please.
Commissioner Patton?
Yay?
Commissioner Barwick?
Yay.
Commissioner Webb?
Yay.
Commissioner Steckland?
Yay.
Mayor Absher?
Okay. Items C, D, and E are all related, and the ordinances that are named therein, we've been through a 6-month process of bringing our second residential TIF to Marion. And we've followed that statutory process and had the public hearings, the joint review board meetings, and all the requirements necessary to get to this point. And tonight, we'll be asking you to enact 3 ordinances. First one that actually approves the redevelopment plan, which has been on public display for quite a while, and that's what's in your packet under item C. Item D is actually the ordinance designating the actual project area, including a rather lengthy legal description and map. Item E is the ordinance that will actually then adopt tax increment allocation financing for both the plan and the area as previously enacted in items C and D. So, first order of business is my motion to approve ordinance 3803 to approve the redevelopment plan and projects for the Marion Residential TIF District 2.
I'll second.
Okay, any questions on item 7C, ordinance 3803? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Patton?
Yay?
Commissioner Barwick?
Yay.
Commissioner Webb?
Yay.
Commissioner Steckland?
Yay.
Mayor Absher?
Yay. Subsequently, it's my motion to approve ordinance 3804 designating the redevelopment project area for the Marion Residential TIF District 2, the plan which was just approved as ordinance 3803.
Second that.
Any questions on the project area or map? Again, both of these have been published along with the plan for quite a while. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Patton?
Yay?
Commissioner Barwick?
Yay.
Commissioner Webb?
Yay.
Commissioner Steckland?
Yay.
Mayor Absher?
Yay. And lastly, item 7E, I move to approve ordinance 3805 adopting tax increment allocation financing for the Marion Residential TIF District 2.
Second that.
Okay, any questions on this part? Okay, roll call, please.
Commissioner Patton?
Yay?
Commissioner Barwick?
Yay.
Commissioner Webb?
Yay.
Commissioner Steckland?
Yay.
Mayor Absher?
Yay. Item 7F, you'll see in your packet, and also supplement that Wendy handed you. Commissioner Patton had asked to see the plat, which I intended to have in the packet and forgot. So you guys remember our council meeting 2 or 3 meetings back where Darrell Ross was wanting to put a machine shop on his property over here off of Boynton and close to Oak Grove Springs Road. So as we did not end up approving that, and as was suggested actually in that meeting, I contacted Daryl later that week and started talking to him about different parcels of property we had available in the industrial park west of town, or on the western part of town. And we've identified this 2.25 acres there on Meadowland Parkway, which we are selling at $10,000 per acre, in this case $22,250. And that's my motion to approve the sale of 2.25 acres of land in Butler Industrial Park to SI Properties LLC for $22,500.
I'll second that. Got a question before we vote on that. We had one of these come up before, and in this right of buyback, I had raised the question. One of them we did buy back, so if we're selling this for $22,500, I'm sure we're gonna have some type of closing costs involved in this. And if, after 24 months, if they can't do whatever, they wanna sell it back to the city, I don't think we should be paying $22,500, giving all that back. It ought to be less whatever expenses we had selling it.
Okay. Wendy, what do you suggest writing in there?
I can put that in, if we buy it back for what was originally sold to us, plus any verifiable expenses related to the sale.
So we'd be back talking about title and closing costs.
Right, whatever costs we incur as a city to sell that to them, if we have to buy it back, we ought to be able to recoup that money back that we've spent.
Which we're not actually doing, they're doing the title policy themselves and paying for that,
So we'll have no closing costs whatsoever?
Might we though if we bought it back?
potentially, if we bought it back.
Are you comfortable passing the ordinance with the understanding to change the sale contract to include that provision?
Sure.
He already said he would, Wendy, I'm sorry, the buyer already said he was getting his own title policy, or paying for it?
Yes, I believe he's doing that on his own.
Okay. Okay, so, was there a second on that one?
Yes.
Okay, can somebody retract their second?
I'll retract.
Okay, I'm gonna restate my motion to approve the sale of land, 2.25 acres of land in Butler Industrial Park to SI Properties LLC for $22,500 as per the sale contract included in the packet, upon the condition that the city attorney has language that any sellers' fees or buyer's fees, should we have to exercise the right of buyback, be deducted from the buyback price at the time of buyback.
And I'll restate my second.
Okay. Any other questions? That's a good catch. Okay, roll call please.
Commissioner Patton?
Yay.
Commissioner Barwick?
Yay?
Commissioner Webb?
Yay.
Commissioner Steckland?
Yay.
Mayor Absher?
Yay. Public Affairs, item 8A, we approved last meeting to order 2 different vehicles from 2 different dealers here in town for the IT department. We got 4 quotes from local banks to finance this. You can see on the summary page there in item 8A, pretty close, but some had a loan fee, some don't, so, but ultimately Banterra beat First Southern Bank by $90.92. So it's my motion to approve ordinance 3807, approving a financing agreement with Banterra Bank to finance the 2 IT vehicle purchases approved at the last meeting.
Second that. We were gonna get what was it, Corolla? And what else?
Corolla and a Honda HR-V. That's what was bid last time. First, remember we had a question over the hatchback part and being able to get printers and stuff, so I thought it'd be better to go with 2 hatchbacks, but we kind of split the difference, so. We'll see how it works out. And it's all-wheel drive, so even on snow days, you guys can work all day long.
I'll be sure to relay that message.
Would you please? I appreciate it. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Patton,
Yay.
Commissioner Barwick,
Yay.
Commissioner Webb,
Yay.
Commissioner Steckler,
Yay.
Mayor Absher.
Okay. Okay, item 8B, Cody?
Jordan, with AGE brought up a typo on the bid sheet that you guys have in front of you. The last bid price on the, Constellation 48 months, is off by a factor of 10. Decimal points in the wrong spot there.
So it's 9.676 cents.
Correct. Rather than 96, which would be an even more significant increase than what we're saying. So, as I kind of discussed last meeting, it's become rather aware that energy prices are skyrocketing, throughout the state, throughout the country. Locally, our, city facility only, and I wanna reiterate this as clearly as I can. What's happening tonight only affects our city-owned and operated facilities. This has no impact on our residents. Our contract for our aggregation of those municipal facilities ends in June, so this would contemplate starting a new contract on those facilities. And the bids that you see there are roughly double of the 4.7 cents per kilowatt hour that I believe we're currently locked in at. So the question becomes, do we lock in something for the terms there on the bid sheet that you have, or do we roll the dice with Ameren as our supplier moving forward and fluctuate as their rates fluctuate? AGE caught wind a couple of weeks ago of what Ameren's rate is proposed to be. And Jordan, correct me if I'm wrong, 11 cents through the summer, 13 cents per kilowatt hour through the winter months is the easiest way to think about that. So with that being said, you can see the different rates that you have there in front of you. The issue becomes, Ameren fluctuates more often than a 24, 36, 48 month contract. They typically adjust their price a couple times a year. So we know that we're doubling costs no matter what we do on our current electric bills. But the issue becomes, if anyone can predict the future, what happens to energy a year from now, or 2 years from now, or 3 years from now? It's my understanding that if we lock in one of these 36 or 48 month contracts, obviously it's a contract. We're locked in at that rate for the duration of the contract. If we were to opt out, they would take our average usage and charge us a penalty through the duration of the contract to opt out of that contract. So from a financial standpoint, the commitment is what the commitment is. It's either 36 or 48 months if we're gonna lock in the best price on today's prices that you see in front of you. So from that perspective, there's two options. Lock in one of this low bidder, which on this sheet is Constellation Energy at the 48 month price, or we can always at any time, say energy rates drop in September, we could always get bids from these companies at that time and lock in something at that point if we don't enter into a new contract tonight. So we've got some options, but we know it's gonna cost more regardless of what we do as of June. So I can answer any questions. Jordan can answer any questions.
Cody, I got one clarification.
Yeah.
on that, if you want me to come up
Yeah,
with it.
please do.
Good evening, Mayor, council members. Clarification on that, if you guys do elect to return to Ameren, you have a 60-day window to choose a new supplier, or you're required to stay on Ameren service for the duration of 10 additional months, so a year-long minimum stay with the utility.
So to that point, if we know Ameren's going to be, well, actually, we don't know. We haven't been able to confirm this with Ameren. You say, and I'm not saying, don't read anything into that. But
Right.
Ameren didn't say that, you said that Ameren's 11 cents in the summer,
Yes, sir.
13 cents, so that carries us for another year, using those 2 seasons. So in that sense, why would, if that's the case, why would anybody sign a 12-month contract with any of these suppliers?
You
just
would,
go with Ameren,
yeah.
right?
You wouldn't wanna go short-term here. What's
Why
your-
would anybody go 24 months then?
Same concept. 36, 48 months is what we're recommending right now. The reason for that, Ameren has filed preliminary rates with the ICC. They are subject to change, but they won't materially change. So those numbers are gonna be pretty well spot on, effective May 20th when they make their formal filing for June of this year. So those rates would go into effect June 1st. We have connections inside the Ameren rate department, and we've seen this in real time in the past with Ameren. Their rate tends to lag behind the market, so the market's actually even higher than what Ameren's price is now. That's what you're seeing on those 12-month terms. That short-term market is higher than what the utility is. Ameren's folks inside their rate department have told us that they expect rate increases to continue for the next 3 to 4 years. They don't see prices coming back down. There's not many inside of our industry that are predicting for prices to come back down in the short term, and over the long term, we feel that prices are gonna continue to rise. There is an additional point I wanna make about if you lock in 36 months or 48 months today, and that price, the market price just totally falls out. There is the opportunity to go back to that current supplier and do what's called a blend and extend, which we've done with customers in the past. So you take what's remaining on whatever, say you do 48 months tonight, 2 years from now, the market prices have fallen back down to 4.5 cents, you know, the kind of range that you guys were at 4 years ago when we locked the contract. If that happens, you got the opportunity for us to go back to Constellation, for example, and renegotiate a contract price that takes the remaining term on what you have now and blends it with an extension so that it lowers that price immediately for you guys at that time. So there's options if the market does come down to readjust these rates, but for the next 3 to 4 years, I don't envision that the energy prices are coming back down. There's a lot going on with coal plants coming offline over the coming years that recently affected the capacity market, which is a component of electric supply rates. The fossil fuels are coming offline at a faster pace than the renewables are coming online, and MISO, our region's grid operator, that, you know, the utility of the utilities, we like to say, they have said that those renewables coming online are not as reliable as the fossil fuels. So that's why that capacity price spiked 48 times the auction price last year at this year's auction in April. And that's not a quick fix on how to resolve that issue.
If I understood you right, you said, if the prices were to drop, we could blend with an extension.
Yes, sir.
You mean an extension past the 4 years, or just for the remaining term of the 4 year?
No, it would be an extension past the 4 years. So the example I used is 2 years from now, the market prices have fallen back down. At that time, you could do an extension of 1, 2, 3 years, whatever it may be, and blend that price into the remaining months on the current term. So then you'd have like a new 36-month price that would start effective immediately and run beyond the current expiration.
So when you say blend, let's say it's at 10 cents and it drops to 5 cents, blending would be 7.5 cents for the remaining. I mean, in theory.
Yeah.
If you were halfway through the contract.
Yeah,
Right, in the example I used, yeah, absolutely.
okay.
If you're 1 month in the contract, then you get 1/48 of
Yeah.
5 cents and 47/48, or I guess it'd be 47ths, but anyway.
On the Ameren rates, they're at we're thinking they're gonna go to 11 for the summer. And then when will they go to 13?
October 1. Ameren has a summer and non-summer cycle, so June 1 through September 30th is their summer charges, and October 1 through May 31st of the following year are their non-summer charges.
So without another rate increase, then it would drop back to 11 cents
Yeah.
after the winter.
They have, they adjust their rates by 2 times per year. But, yeah, if there's not another increase next summer, it would stay at that 11-cent number that we're looking at. And it's probably more like 11 and a half, with the filings they've got.
We talked earlier as well, this does not include the delivery charge, right?
That's correct.
That's
This is,
subject to probably go up higher too,
this is just the supply cost, the actual cost of the energy that you guys are using. This does not include Ameren's delivery charges for, maintaining the lines and delivering the power to city facilities.
which are probably headed up as well, obviously.
I wouldn't assume they're going down.
So with all indications for the next couple of years, they're probably not gonna come back down?
We don't expect that. Right now, the driving forces behind these power prices, I mentioned the capacity cost and the coal plants going offline and renewables coming online at a slower pace and less reliable. Also, the conflicts in Eastern Europe are stressing natural gas markets. Natural gas is responsible for producing 40% of electricity here in the United States. So as natural gas prices fluctuate, electric tends to follow natural gas. Also on the natural gas front, we're currently 21% below the historical 5-year average for storage levels in the US. Natural gas producers are not producing gas after COVID demand has ramped back up. So demand has been up, but supply has stayed down low, and there seems to be no signs that natural gas producers are gonna change their mind on that. They're happy with the higher cost, and leaving the market costs up and producing at flat levels. There's just a lot of uncertainty at the federal level with natural gas and what those companies will be and whether fracking is a thing that's gonna be able to continue or not. So there's not a lot of new rigs coming online producing natural gas.
So am I thinking right here, average with Ameren with no price increases after the one they're gonna have June 1st? 6 months at 11, 6 months at 13, so for the year, we're averaging 12 cents per kilowatt.
And 4 months versus 8 months, so probably 12 and a half cents with Ameren
Okay,
versus 10 or 9 and a half, a little over 9 and a half if you were to take a retail supplier. And your rates locked in so that expected future increases on Ameren's front, which had come from Ameren's rate department to us, you guys aren't, you're locked in. Just like the last 4 years, you guys have been locked in at the 4.7 cents, while Ameren's been floating around between 5 and 7 cents a kilowatt hour.
Hey Jordan, you might mention how the Ameren rate is a 3-year rolling average.
Yeah, that's a good point. The way Ameren, Illinois does not generate electricity anymore. They've sold off all their generation assets. So they are purchasing, the ICC is purchasing electricity for them through the Illinois Power Agency. And the way that works for Ameren, and this is why we say that Ameren kind of lags behind the market. Ameren is, they hedge different amounts throughout the year. There are two procurement processes for Ameren, the spring and the fall. This spring, they had to procure energy, which was roughly probably 60% of their energy that they expect to need. They had already had the other 40% hedged at cheaper costs before the market had taken off. So in the future, they're gonna be replacing cheaper energy with these energy prices. That's why we say the Ameren rate's likely to continue to increase. over the next 3 to 4 years. So they've got a layering strategy that the ICC has in place for them, and they're directly passing through their cost at no markup. That is their cost of procuring energy and supplying it to customers who haven't chosen a retail supplier on their own.
So Amron's power's not necessarily coming from their plants in St. Louis, then I guess it's from people wherever, I mean.
Not in Illinois. Illinois, they've totally sold off all their generation assets because it's a deregulated market and they are a delivery-only utility now. So all their profit is made on the delivery side of the bill.
It's guesswork, no matter what we choose. What are your thoughts, Doug?
I don't know, it doesn't, I don't know. On the one hand, I see it, no doubt. It's a calculated risk, no matter what. And it just depends on how comfortable you feel rolling the dice. No offense to anybody, but I think half of the increase in prices, whether it be food or gas or whatever, is all manipulated way past what we can imagine. So call me an old man that's skeptical, but
Don't disagree with you.
I've got my reservations either way, I guess. On paper, absolutely, to me it's kind of a no-brainer, but I have a hard time wrapping my head around increased energy consumption or decreased energy consumption, whichever way you want to look at it, based on COVID. I don't get that.
Energy consumption or production? Because
I thought I understood you to say consumption was, but maybe I misunderstood, maybe it's production.
demand today is higher than demand at the beginning of COVID. At the beginning of COVID, we saw demand for energy and natural gas drop significantly because places of business were closed. So larger industrial users were not using as much and people were at their homes where you're using less electricity and natural gas. Natural gas prices fell to record lows during that time at the beginning of 2020. And we saw, or the natural gas producers took large hits for that gas that they had in storage. So they dropped production at that point, and as demand started to pick back up, as places of business started to open their doors again, natural gas producers have not increased the level of their production because they are looking at their losses in 2020 and saying, well, we've got to make up for that. So the production of natural gas has not ramped up, and at the same time, we're seeing fossil fuel plants in Illinois being mandated to close.
Yeah, I get that. I don't know.
The recent raise in the interest rates, and they're talking about a possible economic recession, do you think that'll affect the prices in the negative?
Economic recession could always have an impact to the downside on energy prices. There's no guarantee of that. The biggest impact would be increased natural gas production or long stretches of mild temperatures that allow that storage level to build back up. But definitely an economic recession period could see prices fall. You guys, if you were back on Ameren, you could take advantage of that for a future start contract, but again, you'd be on that minimum stay until next June before you're eligible to go back to a retail electric supplier, assuming you don't do anything in the next 60 days.
Do we have any numbers showing for each 1 cent increase in kilowatt price, historically what our average usage is, what that costs us?
The city's collective annual usage is roughly 9 million kilowatt hours. So every penny would be $90,000. So we're looking at 5-cent increases here. If you take the 48-month rate, that's $450,000 to the city. If you are on the Ameren default rate, that's roughly another 150,000 on top, or no, I'm sorry, 270,000 on top of that, 90 times 3.
Well, but you're going off the 48-month pricing, right?
Yeah, all that's based off the 48-month price. Correct.
So if we knew for sure Ameren was, which we already know they're raising their price, average 12.5% or 12.5 cents per kilowatt hour for the next year. And so we're a little over 9 if we went to a 48-month. So I guess what I'm looking at over a period of 4 years, if Ameren does raise for the second year, is if we could renegotiate.
If the, are you saying if the Ameren rate continues to increase in the future and you guys are locked in at that 9-cent number?
Well, for the first year, roughly 3 cents per kilowatt hour. If we went with the 4-year,
Right,
we're 3 cents per kilowatt hour cheaper than with Ameren.
right.
So you said that's about 150,000.
$290,000 times 3 years, so, or times, $90,000 every cent, so times 3 cents, $270,000
$270,000
cheaper.
for the first year.
Right.
I guess it depends on how lucky you feel.
And the difference between a 3-year and a 4-year, if you're looking at that, that's roughly half a penny per kilowatt hour. So that would be an additional $45,000 that the city would pay if you guys elected for the 3-year option at this time. That lessens your exposure to the current market. The current market, I don't know if Cody may not have handed this chart out. Did not?
I did,
Oh, okay. So, there's a market chart that you guys should have. I'll hand this out to everybody.
So right now, we're about 4.7, is that correct? Somewhere around in there?
4745.
And when does it-
4745.
When does it go to the new rate, whether it's Ameren or?
Your current contract
Everybody's
expires
June then.
on your June meter readings, and Ameren's new rate starts effective in June.
Okay. Thank you.
So on that chart, that's the forward power pricing curves in the current market. The reason the 36 and 48-month options are cheaper is the most expensive energy in the market is in the short term right now. 2022 and the 2023 curves are the two highest marks on that graph. As you get into 24, 25, and calendar year 26, energy prices are significantly lower, significantly cheaper. What we have seen is as the market progresses, those years start to increase. So right now, the fall off in the market is kind of the spring of 2023. We start to see prices start to fall. But as we get closer and closer to that period, they said the same thing last year. Spring of this year, prices would start to fall. As we got closer and closer to spring of this year, it was evident that natural gas production was not increased and storage levels were significantly lower, and so prices were on the rise for the 2022 curve and 2023 curve. So, you know, it's gonna, like I said, there's no quick fix to the energy problems right now, unless we see just a big uptick in production. They're talking sustained 20% increases of natural gas production, or we see a long stretch of mild temperatures, which at least one forecast I saw said this summer could be a top 5 hottest summer on the record. So
How long has City of Marion been on this retail agreement for? Been 10 years?
you guys have been on this for a very long time.
And a follow-up question, that would be, in that period of time, historically, has this retail agreement been cheaper than what we could have got at Ameren?
Absolutely. I don't believe there has been, at least over the last 4 years of your contract with Mid-American Energy that you have right now, there's not been a time that Ameren's rate's been lower than the city's contracted price. Ameren's ranged somewhere between 5 and 7 cents a kilowatt hour during that period, and you guys have been locked in at 4745. Before that, I would say the same thing. The city's, over the duration of the city being on retail electric supply, you guys have come out way ahead, just as residents have on the residential aggregation programs.
Okay.
I think
It's the rates got me scared.
last comment I'll make, just as a reminder, when we were here in the fall and did natural gas, you guys did take the 4-year option on that, so I think we locked in natural gas through October of 2026 for the city with Constellation.
Well, somebody's gonna have to make a stab in the dark. We either ride it with Ameren for a while and hope. Feels like we're in the bubble of everything to me, and this graph is indicative of that.
Although I said we're a couple years from, we're only at midterms now, you're a couple years away from anything ever changing at the national level. And it's not gonna change overnight even then, so I think you still gotta.
So if we're reaching out 2 years, we're looking at over $500,000 then
Yeah, I
that
think,
we would save going with the 4-year
I'm just saying,
lock-in.
I don't think the 4 years too far stretched, because even if there's a change of thought on fossil fuels or anything else, it's gonna take a while to build that back
Implement
up.
those changes.
It's not gonna happen
To get there, yeah.
overnight, so I think, plus if the bottom does fall, we just renegotiate.
Well, but
So
we're
I-
still gonna be locked in, and we say that, but that's just not the reality. We're gonna pay
I
that
get
rate
it.
times how many ever months we've got
I get it.
left of that contract.
I get it.
There's not really renegotiating, all you're doing is extending your contract at
You're-
that
you're-
moment in time and getting whatever the rate is, the differential
Average.
between what you've
Yeah.
got left and, right?
You're averaging that price down,
Okay, but
right?
forget that, you're still gonna pay whatever we're contracting
Yeah.
tonight times how many ever months are left.
Yeah, I get it.
So I think you just, the concept of it going back to 5 cents or whatever is, we would hope that that'd be the case, I just don't know that I see that that's gonna be the reality. But the whole supply and demand thing is unyoked at this point, you're telling me, because of a disproportionate amount of supply that simply isn't available. In other words, what you described a while ago with natural gas, which is driving a lot of the energy production, is it, one thing that didn't make sense to me is you said, well, you know, they're still basically licking their wounds from 2 years ago, when I remember you were paying $20 a barrel to store oil. You're paying people to take your oil.
Right.
And natural gas was so cheap, but you're saying they're still licking their wounds from their losses back then. But again, if prices are at all-time highs, why wouldn't you start pumping that out of the ground? Is it because of the capital that's required to start that back up at this point, and there's a lag in it? Or is it never to be started back up? There's no saying that the fix to inflation is inflation,
Right.
right? And so the fix to this is producing more.
Right.
so that.
Historically, we've seen that, suppliers, as the market would go up, suppliers would ramp up production. But over the last 24 months, really, we've not seen that uptick in production on the natural gas side. Additionally, with the situation over in Europe, liquefied natural gas exports are at a record level, leaving the US going to Europe, where prices here may be $7 decatherm for natural gas, but over there it's over $30. So it's, again, a more lucrative option for the suppliers to send it overseas, liquefy it and send it overseas, than it is to keep it here in the US. So 2023, we're actually gonna pass Qatar and Australia as the leading, or 2022, I mean, we're actually gonna pass Qatar and Australia as the leading exporter in the world of liquefied natural gas.
Okay. Anybody have a suggestion in the form of a motion?
Is there a, I guess, a drop dead date on when we need to decide this? Is it tonight or you got a week or two or?
You guys, if you wanted to extend your time on this, you could enter into a month-to-month agreement with Mid-American, who's your current supplier, and they would continue to serve you on a month-to-month basis at market prices. That would extend you, however many months you guys want to take to look at this. If you don't do anything tonight, the contract will expire in June on the meter reading dates for all the accounts. You'll have 60 days to choose a new supplier, or you're locked in with Ameren for the additional 10 months to round out the full year.
Those prices in front of you were only good until we leave here today.
That's correct also, the
But
price.
there's no pressure, Jim.
The price
And
of.
people thought the car business was.
You said Ameren's rates come out May 20th, right?
They are formally filed May 20th, but they've already filed their preliminary filings with the ICC that indicate the commercial number in the summer is going to be 11.184 cents per kilowatt hour at least. That does not include a transmission service rider that has to be updated in June, and that transmission number was an increase of about 20%. That's the network and integrated transmission service. And the non-summer number is at least 12.824 cents per kilowatt hour.
I would go with either the 36 or the 48. That's what I would look at. At least 36.
Figure between the 36 and the 48, there's a half a cent, basically. So it's $45,000
Per year, right?
per year.
Per year. Number two, our goal, at least for some of the municipal buildings here, is to decrease our usage here in the next 24 months. So maybe just have a little less impact
Through solar.
through solar.
Buy fans and turn air conditioners off.
Hmm?
Buy fans and turn air conditioners off.
Right. Turn our usual 72 to 74 in all our buildings. It'll just be a little warmer.
Starting tonight, I told you to turn the air off, right?
I like what you're saying on the 36 or the 48 myself.
What do you think, Jim? You may be closer to this world than the rest of us.
It's a tough one, yeah. I mean, you look at the last several years' history and I guess it's been Mid-America, whoever we've been with, it's always been cheaper, you know. I can't help but think that's what we're gonna be looking at in the next 4 years. They're gonna be cheaper than Ameren.
I don't see a whole lot changing, at least for 2 years. Maybe a few months, but bigger changes in a couple of years.
Our timing on this was really, really unfortunate.
It really, yeah.
How are you gonna make this up to us?
I'm gonna bring you in a couple months a solution on the wastewater plant and water plant for solar that is likely half or less of these prices, which is two of your largest users of power.
But at the end of the day, we choose too long, too high a rate, and rates go down, we're gonna, taxpayer suffers. The opposite can also be true. There's just no way to know. So, man,
I think we have to go with what's safest, basically our gut instinct. I don't know.
what's your good
Well, if you look at this, you can see, these four companies don't like, there's not much difference between 36 and
No.
48.
No,
They don't like going out that far.
no.
So they're pretty much flat out there.
What's your, you said you should do your gut instinct, what is that?
I think the safest thing to do is to lock in Constellation at 967. However, I would like to roll the dice just to see. But that could explode in my hand before I release it, so. In terms of lowest risk, that's probably the best way to go. And really concentrate and focus on what we can do at the big power users, the sewer plant or whatever, and see what we could come up with as an alternative.
AGE also works as a lighting contractor now as well. So where LED has not been upgraded, that could save significant amounts of usage, and that equates to dollars. So
I
the
think-
hub specifically, I don't know what
I'm pretty
been
sure
done
most
there.
of our facilities we've all went to the LED, because Brent Kane did
Yeah.
a massive study.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Exercise bike. Free membership,
We gotta
but
come
you
up
have
with
to
3
pedal for 8 hours a day. Okay, so it sounds like, for the most part, everybody's vacillating between 36 and 48 months, so somebody just needs to pick one and make a motion and see where it goes.
Suppose they don't do a 42 month, do they?
Actually, they could.
Figures.
We looked at some sweet spot options, like where it would make sense to do something like that. And 48 months versus 45 months was basically the same price.
Well, I just don't think it's gonna change that much, even, no matter what the election happens in 2 years. So even when if it does change, I think it's gonna take a while to catch up to itself. So I will make a motion to go with Constellation Energy at the 48-month price.
I would second that.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Patton,
Yay. Reluctantly.
Commissioner Barwick,
Yay.
Commissioner Webb,
Yay.
Commissioner Steckland,
Yay.
Mayor Absher.
No. But I understand the gaze. Okay, motion carries. Move on to commissioner reports. Doug, you got anything tonight?
I don't, sir. I'm good.
Commissioner Barwick?
Nope.
Commissioner Steckland?
The first thing is that the water department is quadrupling our rates to handle the new electric costs. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Don't write that down.
I'm just kidding.
Camera, 15 seconds.
No, okay. Since last meeting, the water department reported 1 new tap, 3 leaks repaired, 5 services renewed and updated. And congratulations to all of the 2022, that's the end of the statement.
Graduates.
Graduates, okay, that's kind of what I thought. That's a great. So congratulations to the graduates coming up in 2022, so that's all I have.
Jim?
Yeah, we're working on some drainage issues, on Second, for South Third Street, storm repair on Jones Street, replacing some tiles on Second Street. Back to our sidewalks, we got a lot of the trash cleanup done, so appreciate everybody's hard work on that. It was a very popular program, and we took in a lot of loads, so, but anyway, we got back to our sidewalk program on Boynton and Virginia as well. And we have 4 guys from the streets transferred to the cemetery temporarily to help weed eat all the graves out there and get looking good for the holidays, so. Cemetery, Terrence handed me a GIS report. There's just a couple paragraphs, bear with me, but since 2013, a lot of work has been going on to our cemeteries to make it more user-friendly. And in 2015, the hard work paid off, and the city of Marion received an ACEC Merit Award. Again, this is referring to the GIS system that we have out there. This is still an ongoing project that Robbie and the IT department, along with others, has been working on. Since November, they have corrected over 7,000 discrepancies, many including misspellings, missing dates, adding full names, and more. We continue to survey new burials every month and upload them to the GIS map. In April, we had 10 burials, 15 in March, and 7 in February. We are adding new features. Family members will be able to click onto a loved one's grave and see an actual photo of the headstone and read the obituary if one is available. Currently, all the mausoleums are finished. We really would like to thank Harry Boyd and JD for their assistance. You can always access the site by downloading the City of Marion app or going to the cemetery website, marioncemetery.com. And we really appreciate everybody's hard work on that. So that's all I have.
Okay, I don't have a report tonight, and I do not have a need for closed session. Is there anything else under miscellaneous to come before the council? You got something, Chief?
Police department is testing June 18th, Saturday. Applications can be picked up at the PD or on the city's website.
Is that sound coming through? Would you mind to do that in the, I'm sorry, so, no, if you want it heard, you might as well.
The police department is having entry-level testing Saturday, June 18th, 8 a.m., Marion High School. Applications can be picked up at the PD or on the city's website.
Okay. Anything else to come before the council? Hearing none, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Commissioner Patton,
Yay.
Commissioner Barwick,
Yay.
Commissioner Webb,
Yes.
Commissioner Steckland,
Yeah.
Mayor Absher.
Yay. Thank you all.